hey, it's a hot market. Like it's affordable and it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, like it's crazy. We learned about this market and my friend sent me some of the listings and I'm like, oh my gosh. So then I bought it sight unseen.
The greatest tragedy in America, besides like kids growing up without a father and the opioid epidemic, I think the other thing that's really a big tragedy is we don't teach people this simple formula.
I wish I held every property that I've sold, but I've done really well selling them.
What's up? Hey, thanks for joining us for another Rising Stars session here. I've got a good friend, Matt Bogosian.
Hey, how are you?
Local realtor, Spring Hill, Columbia.
Yeah, like I try to focus on, I finally figured this out. Thompson Station, Spring Hill, and South Franklin.
Nice.
That's my spot.
And your YouTube is the bomb around that. So we're going to talk about that
All right,
today.
Thank you.
I've asked Matt to come in here today. I want to ask him the questions that a lot of maybe lenders don't ask loan officers. And also the goal of this is for other loan officers to watch it and understand, like, what are some of the important questions they should be asking you all as realtors?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because your phone rings. They want to get coffee with you. They want to buy you lunch, which is nice. That's nice. You're honored they're calling you. But then it's probably, here's my products. Here's how great I am. Here's how low my rates are. And then do you have a lead, right?
Right.
And we got to figure out how to bring more value to you all. So
yeah, I mean, the question, I know you'll probably touch on it, that you asked me just before we started. I was like, that was pretty good.
yeah, let's talk about that here.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
born and raised.
Born and raised in Boylston, Massachusetts.
Yeah, all right.
So, yep.
England.
Yep. So then made my way down to Tennessee for college, met my wife, and here I am.
Nice.
So
yeah, I think that's when we first met. We were talking. We were like, Pats fans. And
yeah.
that was before Brady retired, fully.
Yeah.
Now Belichick. And now is Kraft selling the Patriots?
Yes. It's like not even the same.
They're like dismantled it.
I know. I'm devastated. I don't know what to do. Maybe we could start following Bruins hockey or something. I don't know.
I knew it was coming. So, but anyway, been down here for how long now?
Gosh, since 1998.
Yeah.
Yeah, 96.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Married. I've got
Two boys.
That's
yep,
right.
8 and 12.
And you just you kind of got a little land down there. You you got your own little farm.
Yep.
And
Sitting
a
on
place in Florida too.
Yep. Little Airbnb in Florida too. So.
And that's at Port St. Joe?
Port St. Joe, yeah.
Which, by the way, somebody else said something about the other day and was like, hey, it's a hot market. Like, it's affordable and it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, like, it's crazy. We learned about this market, and my friend sent me some of the listings, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. So then I bought it sight unseen.
Yeah.
Because I had been down there, and I saw these houses, and it's been a great investment. Like, yeah, the interest rate's a little high.
Yeah.
Yeah, we felt like we bought when it was high. But the thing's been renting out, and it's making money.
It's your ROI on it is good. Like,
yeah.
Yes, I tell people you may not be cash flowing a whole bunch of money on your property on a monthly basis, but if you can break even, get tax write-off, and you get appreciation gain,
yeah,
that's a win-win all the way around. Oh, and by the way, you might have a vacation property that you can go visit and hang out at when you want to.
Yeah. Like, I tell everybody, I mean, I'm a real estate agent. But really, the way that I got to where I am and living on my 9 acres with our beautiful house is because of buying and selling real estate, like my personal property.
Yeah.
And buying, like, I always want to have a second property, I always say. I'd love to have a third or a fourth or a fifth, but, like, I always want another one doing something, renting, just because then that one's building up value, and then in the future I can do something with that or keep it. I mean, I know a lot of people keep them forever. I mean, whatever you want to do.
You've lived in your place down there for how long?
We've been there 2 years.
2 years. Probably seen value skyrocket.
Yeah, big time.
The whole area down there, Columbia, Spring Hill, Thompson Station, it continues to be a very desired place to live. And if you don't follow Matt on his YouTube channel, there's a lot of great professional realtors out there, but in my opinion, you're probably one of the best out there as far as like trying to bring value to your area and what you're becoming the expert at.
Yeah.
Your YouTube channel is actually one that's really inspired a lot of my work that I'm trying to push hard on my YouTube channel. This is some of yours
cool.
up here, but check him out. Make sure you follow Matt if you want to just get to know the lay of the land and the town and the area and amenities and businesses. He does a really great job at it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of like my thing, is to try to, maybe it's not as entertaining, but for me, like, I'm working on a video right now for Spring Hill. Yeah. It's going to be 45 minutes long on YouTube. But, and this might be the title of the video. The title might be like, don't watch this video unless you're serious about moving to Spring Hill or something like that, because I'm going to show so much, but it's not for entertainment purposes.
You're going to have to really, really want to be getting some information out of it.
And you want to see the town and see what it's like. You'll get it from that video.
By the way, though, if you say, hey, if you're not serious about this, then you will actually attract more followers.
Yeah.
So Phil Jones talked about that. You know, lots of times if you film a video as a realtor or a lender, you can say, now, ladies, this one's for you. Well, as a male, I'm sitting there, I'm hearing that. I'm like, wait a minute, I want to hear what the ladies are being told. You know?
Yeah. It's like that reverse psychology.
Have you read Exactly What to Say yet?
No.
Oh, my gosh. Great book. Great book.
Really? Is that by Phil Jones?
Yeah, it's by Phil Jones. And so he teaches a course on it. And a lot of realtors should look into taking it, and lenders. We've read it here in my office, all the loan officers. And so, for example, when you're talking to someone, you know, I think a lot of us are in a fishbowl in real estate.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need to wake up a little bit. And it's like, money is tight. Inflation is crazy. My employees were just talking about how their gas tank, I mean, it's gone up $30-$40 to fill it up.
Yeah.
So people are choosing gas or groceries. And I think a lot of times we're like tone deaf and we're like, hey, it's a great time to buy. The ROI is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
So the question is, let's caveat into that. The question is right now, is we all probably would not argue that real estate's a great investment.
Right.
Leverage, it's great. Your ROI, what you can put in versus what you get out of it is amazing. Like what you just bought down in Port St. Joe. That house will probably go up $100,000 or more in a couple of years. You'll get probably $100,000 in tax benefit if you wanted to take it over the next 2-3 years in cost seg and depreciation. You know, and you might make some cash flow and your family doesn't pay for a vacation when you go.
That's the goal.
But how does the average American right now that has a house with 2 kids with $100,000 in equity right now, how do they actually realize some of this gain, I think is the question.
Yeah.
What do I do if I know real estate's great, but where? What are you talking about? So let's talk about what it looks like to sell your home and think about moving to a new one, to reinvest. And also let's talk about staying in your current home, what options exist if you stay in your current home. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie, going back to like money being tight. I mean, even I right now feel like I'm struggling a little bit. Things have gone, 2 years ago was at one point, right? We were all making so much money. It gets cut in half. Then I've been in sales a long time. When you start to see less wins, not as frequently.
It affects
too.
you.
It's really hard emotionally, like to go 2 months and not have a win. So I'm always like, right now, I think there's a lot of people in the mortgage business and realtors that are trying to like keep their head up and stay positive, but are like hurting pretty bad, just emotionally.
I've been in the industry so long, I had to learn after so much pain that like I have to time my W's have to be something other than a deal close or helping a client get a contract. It's like, man, I had 10 really good conversations with my past clients today. That's a win for today.
Yeah.
I got up and did a little workout or, by the way, speaking of working out, my favorite videos that you do are the ones on the mountain bike.
Oh, really?
It's number one.
You know what's
I
funny?
watch those.
You know what?
But imagine if you did it and then you talked about real estate while you were doing it.
So I filmed one the other day because I've had so many people tell me that, and I got stuck into the YouTube thing where you're like just trying to make a video that's like search friendly.
Yeah.
So I'm moving to Spring Hill. And it's like, okay, I'm going to just make a video about that. And everyone that comes to me is like, I love your video on your dual sport motorcycle that I have. Yep. And they like my mountain biking.
And the tractor.
Yeah, and the tractor. That one's
Maybe
funny.
you and me need to start filming more videos on our tractors.
Where we meet at like a local like Burger King for breakfast. We drive the tractors.
Yeah, right. Local meetup. Bring your tractor. So I'm sitting in my home. Rising cost. I'm not really even thinking about buying a home. I mean, I'll be the bad guy and I'll say this. Like everyone's like, it's a great time to buy a house. To hell, I'll tell you what. I don't know if I would be thinking about buying a house right now. It's freaking scary. We got like 2 or 3 wars going on. We just came out of an epidemic. We got hundreds of thousands of people coming through our border, and we have this crazy election coming up. It's freaking scary.
Doesn't feel right, does it?
Well,
something feels weird.
To me, it feels right because I know that opportunity is when other people aren't doing something. But I don't think the public is the public for a reason. And so here they are. And let's talk about if they sell their house and they move to a new one. one thing that I've been putting up is a daily reminder that you don't have to pay current market interest rates, right?
Yep.
So you have a client comes to you, they want to sell their home. It's probably gone up $100,000 in 2 years. And you're like, I think we could sell it. What does that look like? Where can they go? Because they're going to go up, and most people are thinking, well, my house is going to be more and the payment's going to be more because of the rate and the house payment, right?
Right.
Tell them
right.
why maybe that might not necessarily be true.
Well, so there's always, you can ask for buy down. I mean, that's really effective.
So sellers, because there's more sellers willing to sell a home right now, they're not desperate, but they would rather sell a home, and they'd rather keep the price high and give you something than to lower the price. You can get the seller to fund a below market interest rate for you right now. We've had loans at 4.5%, 4.25%. We had a 3.875. Now, some are permanent and some are temporary, but the point being is you can get the interest rate down to about where you need it to be to affect the payment.
And I think sellers are pretty understanding of it now.
Right.
Like if someone was to say, hey, we like your house, we want to make an offer, but we want $15,000 towards, I don't know what a buy down would be exactly, but let's just use $15,000.
About 2% of the purchase price will get you a really good buy down. 4% will get you a buy down that's 3 points below the standard market rate.
Okay.
So if it's 7.5, you would get a 4.5% interest rate.
I mean, that's what I would do is ask for that 3% to go, whatever. You could just say towards closing costs, rate buy downs, prepaids, and you could decide after how you want to do it.
Qualifying criteria does apply. See lender for details. Cross-country mortgages and equal housing lender. NMLS 184641.
There you go.
Is that what I'm supposed to do?
And look, a lot of builders are offering incentives. I mean, you know that. I know that you have to come up against the builders. Yep.
Which is smart, but we got to think like a builder.
Yes.
So that's why I said on your listings, like if you're a seller right now, this is what I would do. I would take the home that's got $100,000 in equity. When I get ready to list it on the market, I would go ahead and contribute 1%, and a good lender like me will contribute the other 1%. And I would advertise on that house that you can get a rate as low as 4.5%. So it's going to help sell the home. Then you're going to walk away with $100,000 on the home. You're going to get pre-approved, know how much you can buy on the next one. You're going to be looking at, $650,000. That thing's going to be $5,000 a month, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Not if we get the seller to buy the rate down and you get a $3,800 mortgage payment, right?
Yeah.
And so now you got $3,800. Your old mortgage was almost $3,000 anyway. $800 more on the new house. But maybe instead of taking all $100,000 and putting it down on a new home, maybe they can pay off an automobile or two, credit cards that total $1,000, $2,000. So now they have a brand new home, $650,000, at a payment that's $800 more than what their other mortgage payment was. But they eliminated $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 in debt. So really, they're now in a brand new home at a higher price point, reinvested, that's going to go up in value, and they have no debt.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing, too, for the seller, when you do a price change and drop it, let's say $10,000 or $15,000, that's permanent, and it starts to show desperation.
It does. It does.
You can add into the public remarks, offering 3% towards buy down, and you can take it away the next day. Like that, without it affecting the listing.
Your price will stay high that you sell it for, that you list it for, and it's just like anything else. If you have a garage sale and you cross through the number and you put, $9 instead of $10, people are going to see that.
Yeah.
Right? And, I think that it's all about the presentation of it, and if people smell desperation, that's also, I'll say, by the way, for sale by owner, like, I'll tell you straight up, I've been in the business for a long, long time. When I see for sale by owner, I think either desperate, they need to sell, or they're going to be really difficult to work with because they think they know more than a real estate agent. And so then also statistics show that a for sale by owner property on average gets like 8% lower than you would be if you listed with a realtor, because what most people do is they say, for sale by owner, they're not paying 6%, so I'll come in at least 6% lower.
Yeah.
At least a smart buyer would.
I'll tell you, for sale by owner, like to me, all I can imagine in my mind is trying to get through the inspection period with them. If I represented the buyer, like how much of a nightmare I feel like it would be.
Well, the buyer doesn't even pay for your real estate commission. So an important part here, and we could even make sure this gets broken into a short clip, is, the buyers don't pay the real estate commission. So when a buyer's like, I don't want to use a realtor, I'm like, why? And then the second argument is they'll say, well, because I'll get a better deal on the listing, which is not true.
Right.
Because the listing agent already set the price on that listing in most cases. But what people don't understand is go ahead and buy a home one time without a real estate agent that has a foundation problem later or a mold problem later in 2 or 3 years, and watch what happens when you're stuck with a $400,000 or $500,000 home with no recourse.
Yeah. I'm surprised at how many people, even when using a real estate agent, just skim over and sign stuff and don't pay attention to the timelines and the dates and all this stuff that's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. Like just a little okay, and I've learned this from experience, if I have an inspection period end on a Friday, so say that's when it's due, we have to give our repair request. Well, now you're going into a Saturday and Sunday and you can't get in touch with any contractors. You can't get in touch with anyone to help. So everyone's like kind of possibly sitting around waiting because we have some things we need to figure out.
That's a good point.
So like just a little detail like that. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it can be because I've been through it.
Yeah.
It sucks. You're like, dang, we can't get anyone. Everyone's mad.
I've seen something that a good agent, and we've talked about this, but a good agent can instantly save your buyer thousands of dollars with one little line in the whole contract, and a bad listing agent will cost you.
Yeah.
What it is, it's the line that says who pays title.
Yeah.
I've always been so amazed that it's one little line.
Yeah.
A good agent like you will put sellers responsible. A bad agent will, we got an offer.
Yep.
I got to present it to my sellers. And they'll go present it to the seller, and they don't even look at that line. And title insurance is the largest charge we see in all the closing costs.
By the way, this is a good lead into this question. What do you think about title insurance?
I think it's a scam. It's like HOA.
Okay, because
it's just a blanket policy. But if that's a scam, homeowners insurance and automobile insurance is a scam.
Yeah.
Not life insurance, because all it is insurance. They buy one premium. It covers everybody, whether they do 20 deals a month or they do 80 deals a month. And that title insurance company, they make profit when they get to the minimum break even.
Gotcha. That's what I thought. So I'll say this. First of all, whatever I say, it's just like my opinion. Do whatever you think
absolutely.
you want to do. And I tell most of my clients get it, probably 99.9%. But in my opinion, if you're buying a home in a neighborhood that was built in 2015, the title company shouldn't need to, you shouldn't need to buy insurance. They should be able to look at the title and see what the exchange of ownership and get it down right. Like you shouldn't, I know there's probably something that I'm not mentioning. Maybe when the builder, got the land and developed, there's something deeper.
Sure, but overall, I think if they want to go ahead and start focusing, and the media has made this thing out of the NAR settlement lawsuit to be a media ploy, nothing. You guys, the way you get paid has always been the same, and you've been doing things the right way. If they really want to focus that, especially like Biden says, he's going to attack junk fees now with mortgages. I'm like, great. Now they're going to come after the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
They should be focusing on that title insurance, because that's the one that's price fixing.
Yeah.
You don't have an option. I have clients all the time. They're like, well, I want to check. No, I don't want this. I'm like, well, it's going to default to lender's policy, which means the lender's going to want it.
Right.
So it's not the title companies, it's the lenders that want it, because it insures the money, which it bleeds down from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, and VA. But if Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, and VA said, hey, we will go ahead and allow for a basic title search premium coverage against liens or like basic small stuff, it's in a subdivision that already had, we already knew the boundaries and all of that, then they could just do a basic policy. It would drastically reduce the cost of that.
I wonder how negotiable title companies would be. Like, say we get a quote or closing statement, and it's like going to be $3,500 for that. I wonder if someone was to go back and say, look, we're closing somewhere else unless that's $1,500.
Oh, you can. So I have lots of friends that own title companies, and I believe that they earn their money because the stuff they have to put up with lenders and realtors is crazy.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of refinances for my clients over the years because they call me. And so I've never turned away clients for refinancing, and I'm really good at it. But what I figured to get the cost down, because refinancing is all about what are you saving and what are you paying to do it, which is your break-even point. Mm-hmm. And if their break-even point is going to be passed when they think they're going to own this home or keep this loan, I'll tell people don't refi. Well, part of that, to do that and maximize that, is I got to keep that cost down as low as possible. Well, title insurance, what I found out is when the title companies told me they pay one premium to cover all their premium, and then I'd be like, oh, well, how many closings do you have to break even on that cost of that premium? They're like, we have to do 39 closings every month. So after 39, they're profitable, 100%.
Gotcha.
So I figured out, I said during the refi boom, I went to a title company, my friend, and she actually taught me this back in the 2000s. I said, I will send every one of my refinances to you if you will do a reissue credit. So the reissue credit means they will take the old title insurance right over it, and they charge you like a fraction of what the whole policy costs.
Wow.
And so I would save, $1,000 in closing cost right there. So instead of paying $3,000 for the refinance, I could get it down to $2,000, give them a credit, and then they might not even put anything into the refinance.
I wonder how good the coverage is anyways.
I would dare say if you talk to your primary title company and you said, hey, I want you to represent this seller or this buyer, but they don't have the funds to like pay a full premium on it, I almost guarantee you most title companies that are the ones you work with will say, I would rather cut my fee to work with you than to allow it to go somewhere else. I'm the same way. Like if I have to contribute a part of my commission to make sure that your client works with me so everybody has a great experience versus you having to work with a stranger out there,
right?
I'd rather do that than to have you just have to go through that, and then I don't even get a shot at all.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Companies are the same way.
Yeah. I should bring it up. I don't know. But I also, like you said, I know they do a lot of work and go through a lot, and I want them to be able to make money too.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely. But with this whole thing tightening, I think everybody's looking at margins. Everybody knows what their margins are. And I think right now we're all just tightening our belts and realizing that there are some areas that we're a little loose on, and it can benefit everybody and help everybody. Let's talk about that. Speaking of like being tight, going back to the households. So maybe I have a 3.25% rate. It's my first house I bought. The payment's $1,295. It's in Murfreesboro. And I got $200,000 in equity in it, but I don't want to move. That payment's crazy good.
I'll tell you what I'm doing.
Tell me what you're doing.
I'm getting a HELOC.
Yep. So a HELOC is a home equity line of credit. It's a loan you put on the property that will let you access the difference between the loan amount and what the house is worth.
Then I'm turning around and renting the property for $2,400 a month, let's say, and buying my next house.
Listen close, okay? So we had a house that's 3.25%. The payment's super low on it, like $1,200 a month, and you've lived in it for a while, but it's gone up in value a lot. A lot of y'all have had this happen, but you don't want to sell that house because it's a 3.25% rate. Like that's a valuable asset. Like I told my mother, I was like, your rate's so low, no matter what, we're not going to sell that loan and sell that house or refinance it. He's talking about you put a loan on it first that says, hey, you can pull some of the extra value of this property out and use it however you want. It's like a credit card. You only pay interest on the money you pull out. So he's saying he would plan to put a renter in that house at like $2,400 a month. So he's making $1,000 a month. And then he would use that line of credit as his down payment to go buy a new house. And maybe that new house is $3,000 a month. But with your cash flow from this house, now you essentially are paying $2,000 for a new house. So you're making money. And what's the best part about having two houses?
Just watching the equity go up. I've done it 3 times, by the way.
Have you?
That's my thing.
You've probably made $500 to $1 million, I bet, in equity, haven't you?
I mean,
$500,000 to $1 million in equity, I bet, between those 3
yeah.
houses.
I mean, I've got a HELOC now on my house just sitting there waiting.
This is the greatest tragedy in America, I think, right now. I do think this. Like, besides like kids growing up without a father, and the opioid epidemic, I think that the other thing that's really a big tragedy is we don't teach people this simple formula.
Right.
The blueprint is simple, right? Like, let's just say you've only made $500,000 on 3 properties. How long would it take you and me to save $500,000?
Oh my gosh, forever.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about the scenario we were just talking about. So you move into the new house, and I know how everyone is. They're worried, their payment's higher. What if? Look, if it hits the fan, you still got the $1,200 house. When the renters leave, you go back there.
That's what I've always thought.
Whatever you have to do, sell the other. I mean, that's like actually is a better insurance policy keeping the house.
Right.
Because you can go back there if you have to. And then also HELOCs, I'm just a big fan of always having one. Yeah. If you have equity, like to have it sitting there, it's just nice to have. Now,
you can get a HELOC, because what he's talking about, a home equity line of credit, and you can put it on your house and have it sit there, and you don't even have to use it. So you pay no interest on it. So I do advise people, I'm like, hey, if your house has gone up in value, go get a home equity line of credit on it, contact me, and I can either do it or put you in touch with the one I use here in town. And then you've got it sitting there, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why it's the greatest tragedy is, okay, let's say that we have $500,000, okay? If you wanted $500,000 in Amazon stock, he would have to give me $500,000. And then I would give him in return $500,000 of shares, right? So it's really kind of a bad deal because you're giving me all this paper, real money, and I'm giving you this digital, hey, yeah, trust me, you got something. And stocks are great. I love stocks. But the reason why it's the greatest tragedy in America is nobody teaches this blueprint is you come to me and you want a $500,000 asset. All that I'm going to make you do is give me a fraction of this. $500,000 times 5% is $25,000. So I would peel 25 of these out. You would give that to me as the bank, and I give you the full $500,000 asset or $455,000 in asset back. And now that asset will go up in value. And so for the home, I only had $5,000 invested. With the Amazon stock, I had $500,000 invested, but they both go up $100,000. Which one was a better deal?
Yeah.
The one that you only gave me this to get all this.
Get all that.
Oh, by the way, it went up another $100,000. So there's your profit.
Yeah.
Right? And then you could take, 25 of these out of your profit, and you can pay me the bank off, and now you have no loan.
And then you rent it, and someone else is paying it. I mean, it
now
just
you
gets
get into a whole
crazy.
other ball of wax. So you rent it, somebody else is making the payment, and then you get tax write-off. So your money's working for you in 3 or 4 different places.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
this is why America's not getting rich.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's really fascinating. I love it. And honestly, I feel like on the HELOC, you do have to be disciplined. Mm-hmm. And so I don't buy a new tractor with my HELOC.
Right.
Now, you can, if you make the money and you know you're going to pay it back, do whatever you want. I try to keep it there for 2 reasons. Either for another investment or, just in case times get a little slow, and they have.
Right.
I've been able to use it when I need it. I know I have money coming after. I put it back.
It's good for cash flow things.
It keeps you running. It's actually a very good insurance policy to...
I actually bought a car with it. It was short term. I bought a car with it at $130,000. Turned around and sold the car and made a profit on it.
You can take advantage of little things like
the
that.
Interest in my cases, because you got to consult your CPA, but in some cases the interest on those equity lines of credit can also be tax deductible.
Yeah.
Right. So
different
things like that. Let's talk about something. Okay. So go back to this. Come back out of our fishbowl, and reality is okay. So I've two incomes, 2 kids, money super tight. I'm paying $2,000 a month in rent right now. It's I'd like to get into a home, but I don't have 20% to put down, and I don't want to pay $3,000, and I don't want to live an hour outside Nashville. I think what people don't understand is that first one, maybe it's only going to be $200,000 or $300,000.
Yeah.
And I know what a lot of people think. What are you going to buy for $200,000 or $300,000? Yeah, it's going to be tough. You might have to live in a townhome. You might have to buy a double wide or a single wide.
Yep.
You might have to live in a little ranch that you dress up and live in. But how long do they have to live in that property before they could then move out and do some of this?
One of my first clients, this girl named Haley, bought her first home, and it's a double wide with me in Mount Pleasant.
Yep.
No, it's Culleoka. Excuse me.
Oh yeah.
And it was $100,000. This was and it's sitting on, I think, 2 or 3 acres.
Right.
She had reached out to me the other day, and we were talking. She's not really ready to sell, but I bet that property is probably worth $300,000, $350,000 now, maybe more. And if she didn't get into the game, like you're saying, and I tell that to a lot of people, I hear that so often. I want to get a house. I can't afford it, this and that. Okay, what about this townhome that's brand new with Lennar? They're paying closing costs. You can get in. No, I have to have a yard. I'll never live in a townhome. Yeah. And I'm like, just get into the game. You can get the yard and the property later. Mm-hmm. Just somehow get involved into it. And townhomes are a great way to do it.
I have a client right now that is exactly like what you're talking about. She's doing everything she's supposed to do. I mean, the lady works 3 different jobs. She Ubers, waits tables, and has her primary job. She's got 2 kids. She's divorced, very limited savings, doesn't have a big down payment. And she's like, I'm going to do whatever I got to do. She found a home USDA eligible. It's $325,000 up towards Ashland City. Mm-hmm. She had to go out to Pleasant View a little bit. But it's a nice little farm. She's like, look, it's got 50% of what I want, but it's a roof above my head. And I told her, you know, when we started this, I was like, your first one's the hardest. Once you get your feet in your first property, as long as you buy well and you invest wisely, after that, after 1 year, you'll be in a 100% better position.
Yeah.
1 year from now, that property will be worth more, like that single wide.
Yep.
And she can rent it out and cash flow it.
Yeah.
You know, and pull equity out of it if she wanted, or she could sell it and just like my first property I sold. I wish I would have kept it, but I had so much debt. My first one and my second one, I just wanted to move and sell. But that's how I paid off $146,000 in credit card debt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That's one thing. Like, I wish I held every property that I've sold, but I've done really well selling them and moving. So I'm always like trying to be involved in real estate. And that goes back to what we were just saying. That girl, Hilly, really, I think her best bet might be to start thinking about writing up plans and building that dream house right on that.
Right on the other acre.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Right there.
We have a guy that I just met with. I think you might have saw a video I put up yesterday. He bought his original house, his first house, 2006 in East Nashville on a double lot. And he's lived there forever. And it's gone up. He bought it for like $225,000. It's worth $500,000-$600,000 now. But what he wants to do, we met yesterday. We're going to go ahead and we're going to partition off that one lot. He's going to own that free and clear. We're going to survey that off and quick claim it off. Mm-hmm. We're going to pay off the existing mortgage of $225,000 on the house. We're going to demo it. Mm-hmm. And he's going to get up to $800,000 to build the new residence, which will be worth between 1.1 and 1.2. So he's going to have a new house at 1.1, 1.2. He's going to fund all of it with the construction, and he's going to sell that lot off next to him for $200,000 to $300,000. He'll have cash in his pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It's really hard to, like we were saying earlier, even today's numbers, I'm like, how can a deal work out? But I know it will.
Yeah.
I know in a couple years it will. Even some of my rental properties, we at one point wanted to sell one, but it was around that 2008, 2010 period. We couldn't because it didn't crash, but it was down a little bit. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't make money. So I just rented it to get through it until things went up and then made money. So renting's always been my even with my current house, I tell my wife, look, if it hits the fan,
right,
we could rent our house easy.
But during that time in 08, 09, 010, you didn't freak out and just sell everything.
No.
And you didn't run to the sidelines or all of a sudden run out and say, Warren Buffett said there's blood in the streets, so it's time to buy, right?
No.
You were in the middle.
Yep.
So what I tell people is we're in the dirty middle right now. What the dirty middle is it's that ground that most of the public doesn't think it's a good time to do something. But you know, as a consumer and an investor, you know in your knower, like now's the time you should be.
Yeah.
And so that dirty middle is you sometimes have to even do it and take a loss.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like growing business. I talk to a lot of realtors and I coach a lot of loan officers, and they're like, well, I feel like I'm capped. I'm like, here, this is about all I can get done. And they're producing or they're doing pretty good. And I'm like, well, you're getting ready to go into that dirty middle. And what that means is you're going to start investing, hire someone, spend some money invested into, social media or video. And you're going to be like, man, I'm making less money than I was before. Well, that's what happens when you're in that dirty middle. So even if you buy a property, man, I've had properties that I bought in 2010, 2011. One of them was losing over $200 a month. That property now is probably worth $500,000 more. I still own it. And we cash flow $4,000 a month on it.
There you go.
I mean, it's a great property.
I mean, how many properties have you bought over the years where, I almost think it's every one for me, where I was like scared at first.
Oh, yeah.
Like is this going to work? These numbers don't add up. This feels high. I remember 2016 when I bought a house and I was like, oh, this is the top of the market. I remember I said, this is crazy. So we did the HELOC thing, and I said, to penalize myself, I'm going to keep my other house and rent it to make up money because I just felt like I was paying a lot for the house. Then everything went up like crazy, and I was like, okay, this is crazy. This happened. But so I always have felt like worried myself, even though I probably might come across like, just buy a house. Who cares? I'm always worried. But
scared, what is it? Scared money don't make no money.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that if more consumers, home buyers and stuff, were very, very clear on what is a win, if they went ahead and bought a property right now, so write out what are the 3 things I would like to accomplish. Maybe that is, well, I'd like to make an appreciation gain. I don't want to spend more than this much per month. And we don't want to put this much more money out of our pocket. Well, if you can accomplish those three things, you can go to work if people clearly understand what they want.
Yeah.
But talking to thousands of people, especially the last couple of years, I've noticed that most people, they're not really sure what they want. And so what they're doing is they're being guided by the feeling and the emotion, which can be media, what our relatives are saying, and that's not a good way to make a decision. They need to get very black and white on if we're going to sell our home and we're going to buy a home.
Right.
Like, what are the 3 to 5 things that we want? The other thing is the media is in an echo chamber. Like, we got to remember, we're in an echo chamber here in Middle Tennessee. We might be listening to NBC Nightly News about the stock market, but what we don't realize is we live in Nashville, Tennessee, which is like top 5, top 10, whatever, like appreciation, opportunity. So our news here in our market here relative to something that's going on in Bakersfield, California is
totally different.
But a lot of people make their decisions based off that.
Yeah. Like you can't, how like local real estate markets have to be to like figure out what's happening. Like in a neighborhood, it could come down to a street.
Yes.
It could come down to 3-car garage homes are hotter in one neighborhood than the others. It just like depends.
School zones.
So to make a blanket statement about the real estate market, it's just like you can't really do it. We all do it because it's like I want to give some sense of the data out there and say, hey, the market's up whatever percent, but really it could be so different from neighborhood to neighborhood or street to street. Yeah. It's hard to do that.
So there is opportunity in the marketplace. You can get a good ROI on real estate right now, but I think that what people think is actually a deal and what really is possible in the marketplace just isn't in alignment. I asked realtors, a group of realtors the other day, I said, what's the number one thing you think that people want? And they're like, they want a deal, whether it's the rate or the house or whatever. And fair enough. But I told them, I said, I politely disagree with you. And I said, really what people want is you got to go deeper than that. They want certainty.
Yeah.
Everybody wants certainty. I want to know if this house is going to be a good deal. I want to know if I'm getting a good rate and a good mortgage. I want to know if this is like going to blow up on me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what, like this week, I'm helping a couple try to buy a home in Franklin.
Yeah.
In the $600,000 range.
Right.
It's crazy. Multiple offers. We lost the first one. It went over asking in this market.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Because 600 is hard to find in the area.
It's hard. We just put another offer in earlier, and we were talking about, like, is this a good deal? Is this a good value? I think that if you buy in a good location, a lot of times it's almost like always certain.
Yeah.
There might be some little blips, but, like, that's the great thing about Franklin. I mean, if you were to buy in a certain, like, what's a highly rated school zone in Brentwood, like Ravenwood.
Yeah.
I mean, dang, that's always a pretty good place to buy. I mean,
you also have to think about lifestyle creep. So, what things are in your life that are expenditures based on where you live, or what are things that by moving to the new house you wouldn't have as an expenditure?
Yeah.
Like one thing about my new house I did not even realize, man, is I make it to the back office. I go back roads like Wilson Pike and stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't hit one single school zone or one red light.
And you love it, right?
Oh, it's amazing. I was like, I would literally have paid $100,000 more for a house if you told me, hey, man, I just want to let you know, based on where you work and where you're buying here, you will not hit one single school zone between 7 and 9 o'clock. You won't have one red light or nothing. I'd be like, I mean, that's crazy, right?
I think for a lot of people, it's easy to start off like, oh, it's about the money and the interest rate. And I do get that. It always has to make sense. But I do believe if somebody's quality of life could go up significantly for whatever reason, the house, they love it, the location, the backyard's quiet. This last one we made an offer on backed up to woods and you could just hear birds chirping. I think people would pay more for that. And that's really what they want. Certainty and somewhere where they feel comfortable and it meets the quality of life that they expect.
Are you seeing a big increase in desire for outdoor living spaces?
I think I feel like I've seen that for a while now.
Seems pretty popular now.
Popular. People don't want to back up to other houses. Like that's another thing. And we have to. A lot of times I've owned several houses that back up to other houses. Sure. That's one thing for resale. If you can get one that backs up to woods, it's always a lot better. People just like that.
Yeah.
It's peaceful.
Well, I think we could sit here and have a lot of conversations, about this topic, but I think we did a good job of encompassing like just overall like the 2 or 3 areas that as a average American, like realizing what's going on in the world, that there is opportunity, but talking about specifically. And so I would encourage you to go back and watch this again. If you're going to be buying a home in the next 2 to 3 years, I would say, go back and watch this, take some notes, do a couple of things that we recommended, like writing down like when you do your next real estate purchase, like what are those couple of things you're looking for? And reach out to Matt and reach out to myself if you want to do a strategy session. Our real estate industry is so like, another sale, things are coming to the store.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think a lot of people understand how many consultations we do that for people that are a year down the road, 2 years down the road. But by starting early, you're going to have time on your side. And time on your side means how you can plan your taxes, how you can save up your down payment. If there's anything you could do to your credit to improve your score to get better rates and more favorable terms, right? Or advice that I can give you around your job if you have commissions or bonuses on what to be looking out for.
Yeah.
So reach out to Matt. We'll put all of his tags below here on the YouTube post. And you guys make sure to follow him on his social media and check out his YouTube channel. It's really, really, really good. So you got a new episode coming out soon?
Thank you. Yeah, that's that Spring Hill one. I've been working on it for like 2 weeks.
How many episodes do you put out a month?
Well, so
One?
I was trying to do 2 a week.
Whoa.
It killed me.
That's a lot.
It killed me.
It's hard to do one a month.
I couldn't do. So now I've changed strategies for a little bit for my sanity. And I'm trying to do a little bit, maybe a longer one or one solid one, like every 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. Yeah. I'm not, you know what? It's too hard. It can build up, and the next thing you know, you just finish one and you upload it, and you're like, oh, dang, now I have to start the next one.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like going crazy.
Well, if you're looking for somebody that's not high pressure, is extremely knowledgeable, a really damn good guy, a good mountain biker, and pretty darn handsome, reach out to Matt over here. He'll treat you right. And thanks for tuning in today.
Thank you.